I jumped on Google and asked the internet how many Old Testament prophecies were fulfilled by Jesus. The estimate considered conservative by Christians sits around 300. But even here, many would argue that the supposed fulfilled prophecies are too ambiguous to really point to Jesus, and some of them don't even sound like prophecies at all. If you just stop and read some of those prophecies, you'll see what I mean pretty quickly. So the question is, do Christian apologists exaggerate prophecies and read them into the text of the Old Testament where it really doesn't belong? Is alleged messianic prophecy too ambiguous? The Old Testament does not have 300 some different places where it says, "Let me tell you something about the coming Messiah." But this actually doesn't diminish their power. See, when Jesus came, he fulfilled all the prophecies that were clearly written about him. But at the same time, his life illuminated hundreds of other verses which we didn't even realize were pointing to him. You might call them hidden prophecies. So you don't have just the stuff from the Old Testament pointing forward to Jesus. You also have stuff from Jesus pointing back to the Old Testament. It goes both ways. And I think that gives us further evidence that the Bible is a supernatural book. Psalm 22 is a great example of this. It was written by King David, speaking in very figurative, poetic language about the current state of misery he was experiencing. David had a difficult life, and yet he wrote this lament without even knowing how remarkably it would match up to the death of Jesus. Look at this, Psalm 22, verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? Verse 6. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Verse 14. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax, it has melted within me. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircles me. They pierced my hands and my feet. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. This is remarkable. It literally points straight to the death of Jesus. Bones out of joint, public display of humiliation, hands and feet are pierced. If we didn't know any better, we'd think that David is talking about death on a cross. But that kind of punishment did not even exist until it was developed by the Persian Empire centuries later. There's no indication in Psalm 22 that it's a prophecy looking ahead to something yet to come, but the death of Jesus is every indication that Psalm 22 was more than meets the eye, and Jesus wanted us to see it that way. When he hung on the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Same words. That's the power behind these hidden prophecies. And don't forget, there are plenty of Old Testament prophecies which are not hidden like Psalm 22. These prophecies point all their fingers to the coming Messiah who looks a whole lot like Jesus, and virtually none of them can be dated after the fact. According to Old Testament, a Savior is coming. He will be born of a virgin in the town of Bethlehem from the line of Jesse, the house of King David, the tribe of Judah. He would function as a prophet. He would submit himself to death in accordance with God's plan. People will look upon him whom they have pierced. During that time, Jerusalem shall mourn. But during that time of mourning, a new way will open up among God's people so that they might be cleansed of their sins. Stick around next week. We're going to look at the doctrine of the Trinity, where it comes from, why I believe it is biblical, and why the most common arguments against the Trinity don't work. If you've wondered about this, or you know people who wrestle with the question, I really think you'll find this helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.